Perfect. There we go. We are recording. Hello, Katie. Koniuch, how are you?
I am amazing. How are you doing?
I am doing lovely. Thank you for doing this. I am very, very excited to talk to you. And I have followed you for a while. I've known you for a while
Yeah.
and then followed you for a while.
hmm
And then when this business happened, well, I feel as though I saw it progressing slightly where I'm like, this might be something. And
hmm
it was when I saw you were doing the hair scrunchies that were
Yes.
the headbands that were matching outfits, and I'm like, "This is so cute." And then it slowly progressed, and then you announced My Love Baby.
Yes.
So when I was doing the research for the topic series for this one, I was like, "I need to talk to Katie. This is perfect in terms of how you started it, how it came to be, and sort of from grassroots to now." So
Mhm.
thank you so much for being here. I'm excited.
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm so excited to be here and get to chat with you.
So we're going right to it
I love it.
in terms of how My Love Baby started. So part of this topic series is very much focusing on women who have created lifestyles, opportunities for themselves
Mhm.
while having to balance the many hats that they have to wear and the challenges that they have to sort of go through and overcome, how they've done it, what that looked like, what that meant, all that good stuff. So, could you please go back? I don't know. I always say how many lockdowns. That's my timeline. First lockdown, second lockdown. I don't know. So let's just say a couple.
Lockdown.
Yeah, which one? I don't know. So
Yeah.
let's just doesn't matter. So let's just say prior to the pandemic, or maybe just at the pandemic. Like, what did life look? What did it look like? What was a typical day prior to?
So prior to the pandemic,
Mhm.
well, this was before actually I had my daughter. So that's kind
Mhm.
of what spearheaded a lot of these changes in my life. Of course,
Yeah,
that hand in hand with the pandemic, created
absolutely.
some good opportunities. And, it's like uprooted a lot of like our world really as we know it. But I think we're going to have a lot of beautiful changes that come out of it, as well
Yeah,
as, the struggles we all know that we've been through over the
absolutely.
last while. So, so pre-pandemic, I was working as a hairstylist educator. So I
Okay.
was teaching in salon to stylists. So it could be, new trends for the year. It could be um, orientating. Is that a word?
Yep.
Bringing in new
Yep.
hairstylists,
It is
right?
today.
Getting them, yeah, it is today. Perfect. Getting them onboarded, that sort of thing. And then when the pandemic hit,
Mhm.
we shut down for a while. So I
Right.
actually went on furlough for most of that first year, 2020.
Right.
Um, and that was the year I got pregnant. So most of my pregnancy, I was at home.
Right.
And then I actually started back to work virtually for, I think, like 3 or 4 weeks
Right.
before I had my daughter. So she was born in November. So once she was born, then, like you're talking about wearing all these different hats. And I think it's very easy to let that hat of motherhood kind of be the one that never comes off.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
that was something that I'd kind of been conscious of, I think, before having my daughter. And it was something I really wanted to make sure that I had the time to take it off sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where everything began, was just really wanting to not lose myself um, in parenting. And it's hard that first year. I'm sure it continues to be hard. My daughter's she's only 20 months now. So, I mean, I really have fairly limited experience. But for me, that first 12 months was, you're like head
Consuming.
down in it,
Yep.
plus pandemic. You're not leaving the house really. Everything is focused on that child. So that was starting my business was really just like such a great mental health thing, kept the creative juices flowing. And it's just been such an amazing thing. It's turned into such an amazing passion of mine and something I
Absolutely.
really enjoy working on.
Now, what triggered? I have to know this because I remember, like maybe many can relate or not, the very first lockdown. And again, you were a new mom,
Mhm.
so I can only imagine. Again, the perspectives are different, but I think feelings were very similar. So when I went into first lockdown, I was for the first little while, I'll be honest, it was not positive in my house because none of us knew, first of all, what was going on. Second of all, I didn't know what to do. It was the first time in my life where there had to be a stop. And then it was like, and then it was that self-reflection. What do I do with myself? What do I do with these children now that I
Oh
have to
my
be
God.
like one-on-one? Like, I don't know. And
All
then
day, every day.
all day, every day. And then slowly, the online virtual, Zoom classrooms and like that all got introduced and trying to maneuver that. But I just remember the very first lockdown and the initial part of that lockdown was just so tense and it was so anxious ridden for all of us.
Oh my God.
That yeah, it was just overwhelming. I'm just going to say it was very overwhelming. So
Yeah.
for yourself, I want to know, being in that position, what triggered the idea for My Love Baby? Like, was it just something like creatively not thinking about a business necessarily at that time, but like maybe just doing something for fun or creative just to kind of put it together? And then
Mhm.
it's sort of like snowballed, if that makes sense? Or was there an intention from the beginning to be like, I want to try something? Like, was it almost accidental for fun? Or was it more purposeful? Like, I have this idea, and now's a good time to do it, kind of thing.
You know what? It was a little bit of both,
Okay.
um, to be honest. So, what I found was going as a new parent,
Hmm.
you're entering into this world of a whole new world of consumerism that like there's so many things that I
Yes.
didn't know existed that I needed to buy
Right.
for my baby. And you dig and you find what you want. And there's so much out there. There really is. But I did find a lot of gaps in things that I was looking for. And a lot of things I was like, oh, wouldn't it be great if there was this, or wouldn't it be great if there was that? And like you said, so I started out with mommy and me matching sets.
Yes.
So that's something I love it. I know it's cheesy, but I love
There
a
is no
little.
cheese. There is no cheese. It is adorable. And any parent, okay, we do it. We say we don't know. We love it. We love the cheese, and it's
Yeah,
adorable. So please
yeah.
continue. We bring the cheese. Go ahead. Bring the cheese.
Yeah, I love it. I find it so fun. So, actually, a lot of my close friends that have children have boys, and that was something I'd heard from them because I love the mommy and me matching, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's not like a thing for us. Like we can't really like match with our son. Like there's like dresses and stuff for girls or bows and headbands, like that kind of stuff." So I was like, "Okay, this seems like a good little opportunity, and it's
Right.
something that I could reasonably tackle." And to be honest, can I sew a little? I can maybe hem something or put a stitch in a seam, but I don't think I would have gotten any joy out of sewing these scrunchies and bows and scarves. So that's what I did: is a scrunchie for the mom and a matching bow for baby girl and a matching scarf for baby boy, or whatever you want.
So cute.
Yeah, so I actually just outsourced the work to a local seamstress, and I found that was a really great way. Honestly, anybody that's interested in starting a little business, you don't have to be crafty and like amazing at a sewing machine. You can find somebody, I'm sure, in your area that's amazing at that and they enjoy it. So that's what I was able to do. I looked into, more traditional routes of having a clothing line made or things like that made at a factory.
Right.
And you have to have really big minimum quantities and it's a
Yeah.
really big investment. And I was just kind of having fun and playing around with it. So by finding somebody local, a seamstress, she was able to do a small batch for me. She did a beautiful job making them. And then I provided her with the materials. She sewed it. And then I was able to brand them and start selling them.
It's so simple. And I think that
Mm.
is it's such an amazing thing. Like, because I really do think we overcomplicate, not on purpose, but I think out of intimidation, right? So I have this idea or I have this hobby. I don't know. I have this idea. I'll just keep it idea.
Yeah.
And then we sort of get trapped in that, oh, I don't know how to sew, or I wouldn't even know how to contact. Like, I wouldn't even know the next step. And I think that freezes people. And it's exactly like you said, was it it doesn't have to be this big elaborate skill you have or investment of time, because I think we live in a world where we can always figure out different ways if we start small
Yeah.
and kind of people looking for work, like even just that ability to be like, okay, instead of going these mass quantities of like trying to do this whole line, rather than that be a deterrent for you or like a, oh, that's too big. It's like,
Yeah.
why don't I just contact someone local? And then that person gets the business and you kind of work together from there. So I, I think that's so simple. And I think that's so, I hope people take from that, and that it doesn't have to be this big thing, and you can start small and go from there. So that's pretty amazing.
Exactly. And I think like if anybody, if that's something someone has been thinking about or playing around with in their mind, just think of what, if you have an idea, that's great. And think of like, what aspect would I be good at? And then the rest of it get somebody else to do, and do it small. Like you said, you can start really, really small. It doesn't have to be a big money investment. It doesn't have to be a big time investment, but do the things that you're good at and get somebody else to do the rest of them. You don't have to would I make more profits if I sewed it myself? I mean, I guess I would, because I'm not paying a seamstress, but like that's a lot of my time too.
And time is a commodity. Like, right. And again, we're balancing these hats. So that's part of it. So if like there's things that you necessarily can't do yourself, like I know a couple moms who do have a business, small, whatever it is, but they don't like the social media aspect of it. They hate it. They want nothing to do with it. And in today's world, you have to be at least somewhat competent to create an online presence. But outsource it. Like get someone else, pay someone else in order to get that done for you. And
absolutely.
In our world, like it's become so much easier to create those networks. So use that to your advantage rather than a challenge that you kind of freezes you in one place to continue an idea or a goal. Outsource it. Like there's nothing wrong with doing that, and especially in today's world. So yeah, absolutely.
It could be what stands between you doing it and not doing it.
Absolutely. And how, again, we manage or have to figure out how to balance the responsibilities that we have, because we have many, and I just don't have the time to do it all, learn it all. I mean, probably could, but not at the sacrifice of other things. And that's part of the challenge for this, because then you start to feel guilty, because then you're spending less time, doing this or that. And then that starts to weigh in a very different capacity in terms of mental health, how we manage and how we balance it. Let's just say. Now, can you please tell us, so like fast forward, because I mean, there's obviously so much that happens in between, but like fast forward to MyLoveBaby. So this started off as you have a seamstress, you're kind of creating this brand, it's snowballing, and fast forward to now, because I've gone on your site, like I said, if my babies were they're like a little older now. So they're like 5, no, sorry. Oh my gosh. 6 and 4.
Oh yeah.
But like the products are adorable. The clothes are adorable. But can you tell us about MyLoveBaby in terms of its mission statement, its products? Because I think it's such a beautiful thing. So can you tell people about the brand itself?
Yeah, absolutely. So what started out as kind of a mommy and me matching thing really evolved into a business that I really want to be able to showcase Canadian talent, support local, support Canadian families. That's something I'm really passionate about. Is, you get to choose where your money goes. And really, when I'm buying stuff for my child, I have to buy, she keeps growing and growing. I have to keep buying her clothes, right?
Yes.
So the choice that I'm faced with often is, do I give my money to a corporation? Right. Or do I give my money to a Canadian family or a family? And I try to whenever I can. I'm not saying I don't shop at the mall for clothes for her. Of course I do. But whenever I have the choice and there's an opportunity for me to support a local family, I'm always going to pick that. Absolutely. And something that I found is, I think a lot of people would do that if they were given, would you like to buy this thing that was made in Canada, or would you like to buy this thing that was made in another country and somebody was being paid, 50 cents an hour to, right. Most people, if they have the choice in front of them, they're going to pick something Canadian made and give their money to that local family. And I think the thing is, the malls are just so accessible and easy, and shopping online so easy. And it's like, there's no there's nothing like when you go to a restaurant and you see the sign on the door saying, this restaurant has been inspected, it's clean, right? It's up to standard. There's not something like that for clothes, right?
Right.
So we are purchasing and it's just like not something that we always have even the opportunity to think about. So my goal is to bring these Canadian brands together into one place,
Right.
so that people can have that opportunity to shop for their little one
And know
support
where it's
Canadian
coming.
families.
I know where it's coming from, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Just an option for some of the things. And then another kind of pillar, so shopping Canadian, supporting Canadian brands is one pillar. The second one is gender neutral.
Right.
Gender neutral and neutral. So a little bit different things, neutral color palettes, and then also gender neutral pieces. So what you won't find coming into my shop, you're probably not going to find dresses or anything like super like girly pink. And then even on the other side, same thing. Everything that I have should be able to be, with the exception of swimwear, I think, should be able to go for a boy or a girl.
Right.
With the purpose of then you can pass it down to a younger sibling, no matter the gender, or you can pass it down to a close friend, or you can resell it. Right. That's always a nice thing too.
Absolutely. And it's expensive. Just children in general are expensive. And like you said, they grow quick.
They do.
So that is something that I obviously, as we discover, like, oh my God, like how, like I was giving away things or mom swapping things that had tags on them, right? That they never even got to wear because they grow and it's just an insane time.
It is.
So absolutely. So the idea of that, it can go from one sibling to another is a very big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Oh, I think it's so huge. Like same thing. Do I buy girly things for my daughter? Yeah, I do. But for me, if I'm investing a little bit more into something,
yes,
I want to make sure that I can pass that down to if there's another child, right? I want to get the most out of that I can. Also, another note that I found with a lot of the items that I carry, and I'm sure other brands, like if you're familiar with like Kite Baby, they're really big, right? Pajamas. They have amazing pajamas. The resale value of these items, like secondhand, is really good. Yeah. I see Kite Baby stuff selling on Marketplace and it's gone like this, $30 being sold secondhand. And I'm like, wow, that's actually, when you consider that, it actually makes it really affordable.
Yeah.
If you're smart with the brands that you're getting, and then you resell them.
And we were talking a little bit before, but like just to reiterate too, like at the end of the day, I think the awareness of certain things as a consumer is becoming more prevalent. So understanding that as a parent, first of all, I'm going to be spending money because their babies are expensive. We love them, but they are. Children are expensive. So as a consumer, understanding that my power and control is in where I put my money. And if I have at least the awareness or opportunity to know where it's going, who it's going to, I have the ability to make those choices and put my money within that.
Yes.
So the idea of being more gender neutral, the idea of quality, the idea of knowing, okay, more Canadian families have made or stand behind this brand and what this brand stands for. I think it'd be fair to say that a lot of people would make those choices willingly if they had that knowledge. So yeah, I would hope anyway, but I feel the shift happening and people asking questions at a store like, oh, like where did this come from? Like people looking at the brands for a reason. Like even in my mom's swaps that I'm part of, it's interesting what gets posted, the descriptions of what get posted, and how people are making a conscientious decision to say where things are coming from and these types of things. So absolutely.
I totally agree. And that's the thing. There's so many, I love that people are so much more aware and it matters to so many more people when they're shopping. Yeah. It really is true. And I actually love brands like H&M, I think is a good example for the reason, actually mainly for their color palettes, to be honest, because the color palettes that they choose are very neutral, very most of them are pretty gender neutral, to be honest. So I love that I can go in there and I can buy something and I can wear it with so many outfits. So it
Yeah.
limits, I really try to keep everything like a small quantity, a small wardrobe. So it's like, getting those items that are just so interchangeable
And
really allow
versatile.
you to, yeah, exactly, have less and get more wear out of those items.
Now I have to ask this as a mom. What is a challenge? I mean, this business it's going, like it's doing very well. And again, you have several other products, not just clothes,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have also some accessories, the headbands and the scarves. I think they're still part of it. Now you've also
Yeah.
added to some accessories that I noticed on the site. So the
Yeah.
fact that this business is blooming, what are challenges you are finding that you have to juggle? Because now this is happening, which is amazing. But again, baby is also growing. So what are challenges that you're facing in order to continue to keep this business going as a mom and now
Mhm.
as an entrepreneur?
I think the biggest thing for me is time, just, how to fit it into the schedule. And I mean, fortunately, I'm still really enjoying everything. I'm pretty like good now. Like the second I'm not enjoying something, I'm start thinking like, how can I outsource this? What can I do? Like as soon as I don't start enjoying it. So, but right now it's time. I think just figuring out like packing orders.
Right?
Is probably like packing orders and making trips to the post office. Like it's a simple thing, but then when you're doing it constantly, it's like, okay, how do I fit this into my routine? Um, so my routine right now is I I'm able to do a little bit more when my daughter's awake, but generally I try to wait till she's napping
When she's
or
napping. Yep.
exactly often my nap and bedtime, I get so much work done in those times. So usually when she goes to bed, I'll pack my orders for the day. And then often in the morning, if the weather allows, our post office is pretty close. So I'll pop her in the stroller and put my packages in the base of the stroller and we'll walk over to the post office and drop them off. So I think that's probably the most challenging thing. And the rest of it, honestly, I'm able to do from my phone, which is like amazing, right? I love
Yeah.
that. And I've even started doing, so I do a lot of wholesale where I'll like buy myself from the company and then, of course, resell. But then I've also been doing some uh, commission or consignment type things with some brands.
Oh,
So I'll have some brands in my shop, they'll send me an inventory and then I just pay them out every month for whatever sells. And that's
wow.
actually helped to relieve a little bit of work for me, I found. So I don't know. I'm always trying to just keep shifting and moving and see, what works and what doesn't. And yeah, if I had a few more hours in the day, that'd be so great. But I'm sure
Well,
we all feel that way.
and I asked that to be very specific. So for me, if I'm doing anything, research, reading, podcasting, if I'm painting, it is only done in at 2 points. I wake up very early before
Mm,
anybody is awake, like
mhm,
very early. And I do it then. And then the minutes people start like little feet start pitter pattering on the floor, I'm done. Sometimes at lunchtime, not really, because I'm also the kind of person like once I zone in, like I have a hard time, my own
mm,
ADHD moment, but like I can't separate well.
mhm,
So I've had to be very selective about when I engage. And then at bedtime. So I bring this up like for other moms out there or women out there balancing many things, like literally what does it look like? And like I can only do certain things when people, beautiful little people, are not able to get right in front,
yeah.
right? And I have found it's challenging and it took some time to get up earlier than
Oh,
everybody else, but and I've come to really revel in that time too because
I love that.
it's quiet and I get things done, and then it helps also start the day where I'm a bit calm because I feel like I've gotten some things accomplished and I can focus when they're awake. But it really has been like that was trial and error. Like there
Yeah.
were again that first lockdown, like it took me figuring out like how do I do that? Like, how do I focus on myself because I need some separate time, I need some separation, but it has to make sense and for our own routine. So how do I do this? So I ask that because I want people to understand that it's not this like commitment of full time. I have to be enveloped in this. No, you can have that push and pull. And
Yeah.
also, like you said, I do a lot of it on my phone. It's like, that's incredible to me. It's like,
Yeah.
we can do that now.
Oh,
Like
it's amazing.
we're able at least to do that where I can do it on my phone, or like I envision you walking your daughter and like there's packages at the bottom. It's like, no, I'm technically working right now. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's amazing and crazy all at the same time. But
Oh,
the fact
yeah.
that we can do that, right? Like that's just wow, just where we've come and sort of wow. That's
It
all.
is wild. It is so wild. I love that we have this all just, it's so convenient now. I actually had somebody a while ago give me some like advice that really stuck with me with that. Cause when my daughter was young, probably the first like 4 or 5 months, I was just feeling so like down on myself because I was just falling behind with like the things that I was normally on top of. And I was, I would be trying to like clean the house and like make dinner and like all this stuff. And I'm like, I can't do it. Like, I can't get it done. And maybe you can relate, but like, I was such a struggle. And it was actually a friend of ours who said, like, don't like, you can't stress about that stuff. Like when they're awake, it's just their time. It's their time. Like, don't struggle to try to do all this stuff. It'll come, like, you'll get that time back. You will. It's not forever. It's just temporary, and just focus on them. And then you just do what you can when they're sleeping to make up for it. And that was like a huge game changer for me. And I feel like I actually get a lot more done with that focus in mind. So when she's awake, like, she's kind of the priority. Now she's older, so I can actually do a little bit while she's awake.
Right.
But when she was that baby stage, it was really hard. She was a little, she was a great baby, but she like needed that attention, right? So as soon
Absolutely.
as I kind of relaxed a little about that and gave her that attention, it was just so much easier. And man, can a mom, do you not get so much done in that like 1 hour of nap time? Like, it is amazing how much you can achieve in a nap.
Yep.
Oh my God.
And when people are like, I don't have enough time. I only have like an hour and a half this weekend. I'm like, hour and a half. You know what I can do in an hour and a half?
Oh, yeah.
What I have learned that I can do in an hour and a half.
It is incredible.
It's go time.
Yeah.
I got advice once because I had a hard time with my son right after, because I had post depletion for both kids. And it was a huge adjustment and transition because I was very much a busybody. And it was that forced slowdown that I had to have where I couldn't stay on top. Exactly what you said. I couldn't stay on top of things that I usually felt like I should be able to.
Yeah.
And whether it's laundry or food or like, oh, we're eating out again this week. It's like just the guilt that I had and all the things that we get. And a friend of mine said something, it was so simple. And it changed a lot. She said, this is just a season. And I said, I don't know what that means. And she said, it's a season in your life. It's not your life. This is temporary. And this is just the season right now. So right now, you are not meant to have a tidy, tidy, tidy house. You're not meant to. You're not supposed to. And then this season will pass, like this for phase. She said season, but I guess,
I like that.
next word would be phase, whatever. She's like, then the next phase, you're going to have a tidier house. But guess what? You're going to be busier. You're not going to be home as much because your kids are going to be involved in sports or activities. And then you're going to be really overwhelmed by that because it's like, I'm just a taxi cab, which is exactly where we are right now. And she's like, and then that's going to be temporary. And then it's the next phase. She goes, so as long as you can approach it as you're not failing at this point, it's just a season and seasons are temporary. And it was so simple. And I sat with it and I thought, yeah, like it's okay. Yeah. Like it was a simple perspective and it really, really stuck with me that it's just temporary. And then it's the next thing.
Yeah.
And that really, really helped too, when you're trying to settle into the new season and you get kind of comfortable and then it switches. So having that fluidity and whatever sort of comes with your family, with your kids, although very hard to stay true to or remind yourself of, because I think when you're in it and you're anxious and you're angry and you just want to fold a basket of laundry so that everybody has clean socks and underwear. Like, just let me fold the thing. And
Yeah.
it's like, nope, not right now. Okay. Like, it's just trying to give yourself that permission, if you will,
Mhm.
and grace to just be more interchangeable. And then my girlfriend said to me too, she's like, in one day, you're going to realize that they don't even want you around. Like, it'll
Mm.
happen so fast. Like, where then all of a sudden you're in that season where then it's like, well, don't you want to hang out? And then they don't really want to. And then it's like it's just to try and be present in the season that you're in. So
Mhm.
absolutely.
I love that. That's great
Do
advice.
do you have any advice? I mean, you kind of touched on this already, but I'm more speaking like directly to women as a whole of starting their own business, like looking back on yourself now, that introspection.
Mhm.
So like looking back right now, go back, a couple of years in terms of the progression that's happened. What advice would you give to yourself, thus giving to others, in this process and starting this process?
Mhm. Ooh, that's great. I would tell myself so many things, but I think the biggest things that I would tell myself are your ideas are awesome. You're so creative. When you find something that you feel excited about, don't let yourself be intimidated because Susie Q down the road already has a similar business. It doesn't matter if she's selling, I don't know, whatever. If she has a lemonade stand down the street and you want to open up a lemonade stand, you can have a lemonade stand because it's going to
Do it.
have your own twist on it. So whatever you do, like it's 2022, there's probably so many businesses. Most things that you think of, there's already going to be a similar business out there, but don't let that deter you. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just need to like kind of decorate it a little bit and make it your own. And, yeah, if you're passionate about it and you make it your own and you let yourself shine through in what you're doing, it's going to be great. It's going to be really amazing.
There's always room at the table.
Yes,
Another
yes.
a little spot. It doesn't matter, like you said, how many lemonade stands there are.
Mhm.
There is enough room at the table for you.
Yes.
And just no matter what adventure you approach, there's room.
Yeah. And you know what I found for the most part? People are pretty, even if I'm selling the same things as somebody else, most people are pretty supportive of other people's businesses.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. I've only heard of one person who I won't say what the business is, but they sold something similar and they're
Mhm.
actually a very similar product in their shop as a friend of mine. And I've heard this from a few people. They're from a totally different part of Ontario and they would reach out when these new businesses open up and basically say like, how could you steal my idea? And like, la, la, la,
Mhm.
la, la. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have not had that experience at all. But that's one person out of so many people that I've met. So even if you had a hater, like don't worry about it.
Bring on the haters.
There's lots of room. It's
Haters
great.
push. And that's a good thing. Haters push.
Exactly.
And I also agree with you in the sense I do feel a shift. Like from a female perspective of there's more support than people realize. Like I find
Mm,
people more just in comments that I read, like in being on, being a presence somewhat on social media was something, the comments, because that was actually part of an intimidation I had, like that I had. I'm like, people are gonna like watch this idea. Like, what if they say something that I take to heart? Like, I'm like, oh, I
yeah.
don't know people's response or opinions. And I mean, I went for it anyway, but I have to say that overall, there is definitely a more supportive tone that I have also noticed with women, small business, etc. Like the sort of the big
Yes.
umbrella of it. I have noticed and felt that as well, I have to say.
That's so good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that's your experience as well. It's like I just think it's so important to support each other and
Yeah.
if I anytime and think a lot of people have this attitude anytime I have a friend that like starts a business or has a business and I'm like, you know what, if you sell something that I'm going to be buying anyways, I'm going to buy it from you, right? And it's like that circle of friends can really give you that little confidence boost, I think, to be
And
like,
that network,
people
yeah.
actually do want this. Like people are excited about this. And yeah, I
They're
can get that
cheerleaders.
snowball rolling. Yeah.
Yeah. And we had another episode that we had recently about that specifically, just
Yeah.
cheerleaders in your life. and making sure they are fiercely supportive and being surrounded by that, and how that pushes yourself and your own mindset into the next goal or chapter as well.
Yeah.
So my darling, I'm going to have all the links for My Love Baby anyway in our show notes, but can you please just directly tell people how they can get in touch with you, check out your products, how they can place orders? Because they need to check it out. They need to see what this is. So can you tell people how to get in touch?
Absolutely. So my website is www.mylovebaby.ca. That's the best place to check everything out. Also Instagram. I'm pretty active on there as well. And it's just actually the website. So it's the @ for its Instagram at mylovebaby.ca is the Instagram handle as well. So you can check it out there. And yeah, so if you have kids or not, but even if you have showers you're going to, it's definitely great to check it out, especially if you have showers where they are choosing not to find out the gender or choosing not to reveal the gender. It can be great because everything in the shop is perfect for that.
That is amazing. Yes, truly. And again, like this stuff is beautiful. It really, really is. And you can tell people will just naturally, when they gravitate and when they see it, it truly does speak for itself. And I think it is it's an ideology that and concept that is very current. And I don't think is going anywhere in terms of this idea and these products. So I am rooting for you hard, darling. And I know many people will as well. So like I said, all contact will be in our show notes. But thank you so much, my Katie,
you're so welcome.
This was amazing. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.